At a glittering billionaire's gala, laughter echoed, until one cruel joke destroyed a $4 billion empire. When heiress Alyssa Davenport slammed a black's CEO's face into a cake in front of hundreds, she thought it was just a joke. But that man wasn't just anyone. He was Marcus King, a self-made billionaire with the power to make or break her world. One phone call later, her billion-dollar deal collapsed, her reputation vanished, and the world turned against her. This is the shocking story of how a single moment of arrogance cost an heiress everything, and how respect became the one thing money could never buy. The ballroom of the Grand Monarch Hotel gleamed like a palace carved from gold. Every chandelier sparkled, every table shimmered with crystal glasses and folded napkins embroidered with silver thread. Cameras flashed at every turn, capturing the glittering elite of New York City. It was the event of the year, the Forbes Philanthropy Gala, where billionaires came to smile, network, and silently compete over who could donate the most money, or wear the most expensive outfit. And in the center of it all was Alyssa Davenport, the dazzling, confident heiress to Davenport Holdings, a global investment empire worth billions. At just 28, she had everything: youth, wealth, fame, and a last name that opened every door in America. Her gown shimmered like liquid gold, her hair perfectly sculpted, and her diamond necklace alone could have paid for a college education for hundreds. Reporters called her the future of finance. But behind her graceful smile was someone who had never been told no in her life. That night wasn't just another gala for Alyssa. It was the night that would cement her reputation as the next big player in the business world. Her company was about to close a historic $4 billion merger with Titan Global Industries, one of the fastest-growing tech and logistics giants in the country. It was the kind of deal that would make headlines, and Alyssa wanted every camera flashing when the champagne popped. Across the ballroom, standing tall in a simple black tuxedo, was Marcus King, the CEO of Titan Global. He wasn't born into wealth. In fact, his story was the complete opposite of Alyssa's. He grew up in Atlanta, raised by a single mother, and worked 3 jobs before launching his own logistics startup at 23. Years of relentless work and brilliance had turned him into a billionaire. But unlike most, he didn't flaunt it. He spoke softly, smiled rarely, and carried himself with quiet authority. To many, Marcus was intimidating not because of his wealth, but because of his calm. When Alyssa first met him, she found him boring. He didn't compliment her dress or flirt back. Instead, he focused on business. And that bruised her pride. As the orchestra played and guests toasted around them, Alyssa whispered to her friends, half joking but full of envy, "Look at him, so serious. Maybe I should give him a reason to loosen up." Her friends giggled. But that single thought, said half in jest, would soon destroy everything she had built. Because before the night was over, Alyssa Davenport's name would be on every headline, for all the wrong reasons. The orchestra softened as the waiters wheeled out a massive 3-tiered cake, a masterpiece layered with vanilla, gold dust, and edible pearls. It was the symbolic celebration of the upcoming merger between Davenport Holdings and Titan Global Industries. Everyone in the room turned toward the stage where Alyssa Davenport stood, glowing under the chandelier light, microphone in hand. "Ladies and gentlemen," she said with a confident smile, "tonight we celebrate not just success, but unity. And for that, we have one man to thank, Mr. Marcus King." The crowd erupted in polite applause. Marcus, standing near the front table, smiled modestly and walked toward her. The cameras began flashing, sensing a perfect PR moment. He, powerful heiress, and the self-made CEO, sealing a multi-billion-dollar partnership with style. As Marcus approached, Alyssa leaned closer to him with a smirk. "Oh, come on, Marcus," she teased into the mic. "You've been so serious all night. You need to relax a little." Marcus chuckled softly, adjusting his cufflinks. "I'm relaxed enough, Ms. Davenport," he replied politely. But Alyssa wanted more. She wanted the crowd's laughter. She wanted to be the moment. And in that split second of arrogance, she made a choice that would change her life forever. With hundreds of people watching, Alyssa grabbed the back of Marcus's head and, slam, shoved his face straight into the cake. The room gasped. The orchestra stopped playing. For a moment, there was only silence and the sound of frosting dripping from Marcus's tuxedo. Alyssa burst into laughter, clapping her hands. "Oh, lighten up. It's just a little fun," she said, brushing cake crumbs from her fingers. A few nervous chuckles came from the crowd, but most people were frozen in shock. Marcus slowly lifted his head. His face, covered in icing, stayed calm. No shouting, no anger. Just silence. His dark eyes met hers with a look so controlled, so powerful, that it cut deeper than any insult could. He took a napkin, wiped his face, and said quietly, "You just made the biggest mistake of your life." Then he turned and walked out. No yelling, no scene, just quiet dignity. The photographers lowered their cameras. The band didn't dare play, and as Alyssa stood there, frozen in embarrassment, a strange feeling crept into her chest. For the first time ever, she wasn't the one in control. The morning after the gala, the entire city buzzed, but not with celebration. It was chaos. Every social media feed, every business headline, every gossip site carried the same story. Heiress slams CEO's face into cake during 4B gala celebration. Arrogant prank or public humiliation? Clips of the incident had already gone viral. The sound of Alyssa's laughter echoed across millions of phones, and Marcus King, his calm, composed reaction, became the image of dignity under humiliation. While Alyssa's PR team scrambled to control the narrative, Marcus King sat in silence in his penthouse office overlooking the New York skyline. The frosting stains were gone from his suit, but the insult lingered not just because it was public, but because of what it represented. To Alyssa, it was a joke. To the world, it was something deeper. A rich heiress mocking a self-made black CEO in front of a crowd of elites. And that made the story explode. Marcus didn't shout, didn't post, didn't threaten. He simply reached for his phone and made a single call to Evelyn Grant, chairwoman of Titan Global Industries and his longtime mentor. When she picked up, he said calmly, "Evelyn, cancel the merger." There was silence on the other end. "Marcus, are you sure?" "That deal is worth—" "I'm sure," he interrupted. Integrity comes before billions. Within 2 hours, the corporate world trembled. Titan Global officially announced the termination of the $4 billion merger with Davenport Holdings. The statement was simple, almost surgical. Due to unforeseen reputational circumstances, Titan Global will not be proceeding with the merger. When Alyssa's father, Richard Davenport, read the headline, his blood ran cold. His phone exploded with calls from investors, journalists, and angry board members. He stormed into his daughter's penthouse suite, waving his tablet in fury. "What did you do, Alyssa?" he yelled. "Do you have any idea what you've cost this family?" It was a joke. "Everyone's overreacting," she stammered. "Overreacting? You humiliated the man we were partnering with, on camera." Her voice cracked. "I didn't mean, it doesn't matter what you meant. What matters is what the world saw." As he stormed out, Alyssa grabbed her phone and scrolled through comments. Each one was worse than the last. Entitled. Disgusting. Perfect example of privilege. The girl who once ruled social media with smiles and selfies was now the face of public disgrace. And somewhere high above the city, Marcus King put down his phone, looked out at the sunrise and whispered, Some lessons only come through silence. By the next morning, Davenport Holdings was in free fall. The company's stock dropped 22% in a single day, wiping out hundreds of millions in market value. Investors panicked, clients withdrew, and the media had a new villain to feast on. Alyssa Davenport, the heiress who turned arrogance into disaster. Headlines were merciless. Heiress humiliates black CEO, 4B. Deal shattered. Privilege and power collide in public meltdown. From golden girl to corporate catastrophe. TV networks replayed the footage over and over. Alyssa's laughter, Marcus's calm stare, and the stunned silence that followed. Every frame told the same story. A woman blinded by entitlement. Her PR team begged her to go silent, but her father had other plans. "You will fix this," Richard Davenport snapped, pacing the boardroom. "You'll apologize on camera. Now." Alyssa stood in front of a dozen flashing lights, her makeup flawless, but her eyes red. "I'm deeply sorry," she began, voice trembling. "It was never my intention to hurt or humiliate anyone. It was a misunderstanding. But the world didn't believe her. Every word sounded rehearsed. Every tear looked fake. The internet ripped her apart. Now she's sorry? Because her stocks dropped? Too little. Too late." In the meantime, Marcus King became an icon. His silent dignity turned him into a symbol of grace and self-respect. He refused all interviews, only releasing a short statement. "Dignity isn't something you can buy, not even for $4 billion. Those words went viral. Millions reposted them. College students quoted them. Business magazines called him the man who walked away from billions with his head held high. And Alyssa? She couldn't walk anywhere without whispers. Invitations vanished. Sponsors pulled out. Even her so-called friends stopped answering her call. Months passed. The once shining name Alyssa Davenport had vanished from magazine covers and business headlines. Her luxury penthouse felt like a museum of her past life. Empty champagne bottles, unread apology letters, and award plaques that no longer meant anything. Everywhere she went, whispers followed. People who once begged for her attention now crossed the street to avoid her. And deep down, she knew. This wasn't about a cake anymore. It was about respect, something she had never learned to give. One gray morning, she sat on her balcony scrolling through old photos of the gala. In one, Marcus King stood beside her, calm and confident, moments before everything went wrong. Her eyes welled up. For the first time, she didn't see a man she'd embarrassed. She saw a man who had every reason to destroy her, but chose silence instead. Her phone buzzed. It was an unknown number. A text appeared. "You never learn from comfort. You learn when the world stops clapping." No name, but she knew exactly who it was. Marcus. That message hit harder than any public humiliation. It was quiet, yet it said everything. In the weeks that followed, Alyssa withdrew from the public eye completely. She sold her penthouse, shut down her social media, and began volunteering at a local women's foundation, anonymously. There were no cameras, no red carpets, no designer gowns, just people, real people, whose struggles made her finally see life outside her own reflection. A year later, she attended a small entrepreneurship seminar in Brooklyn, and when the final speaker stepped on stage, her breath caught. Marcus King. He spoke not about wealth, but about character, about how power means nothing if it isn't used to lift others. When the event ended, Alyssa quietly approached him. "Mr. King," she whispered, voice shaking, "I never got to say, I'm truly sorry." Marcus looked at her for a long moment, then smiled faintly. "And I never stopped hoping you'd understand why that night had to happen." Alyssa nodded, tears in her eyes. "I do now." As she walked away, she finally understood the lesson her billions could never buy. that respect is worth more than power, and humility lasts longer than fame.